Have you ever felt like nothing is working? You tried to change your body, your career, maybe even your entire life. But every attempt seems to end the same way, like the universe is working against you. Stay with me for the next 8 minutes, because what you're feeling has a name, and it's not what you think it is.
A few years ago, I heard about a man who dreamed of starting his own business. He spent 6 months planning it. His first launch failed. He tried again and failed. A third time. A fourth. By the 7th attempt, he had emptied most of his savings. Every night, he sat at the same small table, staring at his notebook, wondering what he had missed. Then came the 8th attempt. After weeks of work, it failed too. That evening, he closed his laptop, packed his notes into a box, and pushed it under his bed. He told himself, maybe I'm just not meant for this. From that day on, he stopped trying. Not because he was lazy, not because he lacked discipline, but because, without asking for permission, his brain had already decided that trying again wasn't worth the pain.
This has a name. Psychologists call it learned helplessness. It's a psychological state that develops when someone experiences the same setback over and over again, with no sense of control. Eventually, the brain stops asking, "What can I do differently?" Instead, it starts saying, "Why bother?" And that's the dangerous part. The brain begins to treat every future opportunity as if it's already doomed to fail, simply because the last few attempts did. Not because success is impossible, but because your mind has quietly decided that effort no longer matters, even when it does.
But why does this happen? The answer is surprisingly simple. Your brain isn't broken. It isn't weak, and it isn't trying to ruin your life. It's doing what it was designed to do: learn from experience. Every decision your brain makes is based on one question: what happened last time? If touching fire burned your hand, your brain remembers. If a certain road led to danger, your brain remembers. That ability keeps you alive. But sometimes, the same system that protects you from danger also traps you.
Because your brain doesn't always separate one experience from every experience. One failed attempt slowly becomes nothing works. One rejection becomes nobody will ever choose me. One difficult month becomes I've always failed. Notice what happened. The facts never changed. Only the conclusion did. Your brain took a small piece of evidence and quietly turned it into a rule for your entire life. That's exactly what happened to the man in our story. His first business failed.
That didn't make him helpless. His second failure didn't either. Not even the third. But after enough disappointments, his brain stopped seeing each attempt as a separate event. Instead, it grouped them together into one painful message. Trying leads to pain. And once your brain believes that, it starts protecting you from trying again. That's why he packed away his notebooks. Not because he had proof that success was impossible, but because his mind had mistaken repeated failure for permanent failure. And here's something most people never realize. This doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly. One disappointment, one setback, one unanswered effort at a time. Until one day, without even noticing, you stop fighting the obstacle and start believing you are the obstacle.
But here's the cruel part. Learned helplessness doesn't feel like a mental trap. It feels like the truth. That's what makes it so dangerous.
You don't wake up one morning and think, my brain is overgeneralizing. You wake up thinking, I'm just being realistic. You tell yourself, I've tried enough. People like me don't succeed. Maybe this just isn't for me. And because those thoughts are built from real experiences, they feel impossible to argue with. After all, you did fail.
You did get rejected. You did work hard and still come up short. Those events were real. But the story your brain created from those events isn't necessarily real. There's a huge difference between saying, that attempt didn't work, and saying, nothing I ever do will work. One is a fact. The other is a conclusion. And your brain quietly blurs the line between the two. That's why so many people stop chasing dreams they were still capable of achieving. Not because they ran out of potential, but because they ran out of belief that another attempt could lead to a different outcome. The prison isn't built with walls. It's built with conclusions. And the hardest prison to escape is the one that feels like common sense. Because when a lie feels like reality, you stop questioning it. You simply learn to live inside it.
So, how do you escape a trap that feels like the truth? It starts with one simple shift. Stop asking, is change possible? And start asking, am I judging my future by my last attempt? Because those are not the same question. Think about it. Every time you say, this will never work, what you're really saying is, the last time didn't work. But one failed attempt is not evidence that change is impossible. It's only evidence that one attempt failed. Your last result is a data point. It is not your destiny. Go back to the man in our story. The night he packed away his notebooks, he believed he was making a logical decision. But maybe he was answering the wrong question. Instead of asking, am I meant to do this? He could have asked, what did this attempt teach me that the last one didn't? That single question changes everything. Because it shifts your attention from judging yourself to improving your process. Failure stops becoming a verdict. It becomes information.
And information can be used. Here's the idea I want you to remember. You are not measuring whether change is possible. You are measuring whether your last attempt worked. Those are not the same thing. The moment you stop treating yesterday's outcome as tomorrow's prediction, you give yourself permission to try again with a different mind.
If you've ever felt like nothing is working, like everyone else is moving forward while you're standing still, like you're the only person whose effort never seems to pay off, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken. Sometimes the biggest obstacle isn't your ability. It's the story your mind has been repeating for so long that it started sounding like the truth. That's why this channel exists. Not to sell you false hope. Not to tell you that success is easy. And not to pretend that one video can change your life. This channel exists for one reason: to help you understand your mind. Question the stories that are holding you back, and remind you that your next attempt doesn't have to look like your last one. Because no one should have to figure all of this out alone. So if this message found you at the right time, this won't be the last conversation we have.
I'll see you in the next one.